Hello, YouTube. I've been seeing this question asked quite a lot actually recently on in World Chat and on Discords, and that's about virtues and what to level depending on your class. For the most part, it won't really matter your class and the role. And I'm just gonna give you essentially 5 virtues that will work universally across the board, no matter if it's PvP, dungeons, raids, solo content, variety of tiers, tank, healer, DPS, doesn't matter. This is 5 easy, universal virtues to go for. And then after that point, you can kind of mix and match some different things, put something else somewhere, and remove a different virtue, etc. So these are the 5 that you're going to want to go for: fidelity, loyalty, justice, honor, and fortitude. And then there's kind of 3 main reasons for this. Reason number 1 is this is the most amount of morale you can get from virtues, with the exception of bear. If you are a bear, idealism and mercy technically give you more morale than justice and fidelity. However, fidelity gives you tactical mitigation, which is super important. So that's why maybe as a bear or a Beorning, I would remove justice and put on idealism. But for every other class, because we're not special enough to use fate as well as bears do, for every other class, it's fidelity, loyalty, justice, honor, and fortitude that give you the most amount of morale, while also giving you a lot of tactical mitigation, right? So honor still gives you tactical mitigation. Fidelity still gives you tactical mitigation. If you need more, there is tolerance, but hopefully at least with those 2 plus justice also gives you tactical mitigation. With those 3 virtues, your tactical mitigation should be close enough to cap alongside the gear that you get, whether your crafting gear, you have your essence slots. I know on the legendary servers we don't have essence slots a lot, so we're relying on more of our crafted gear. But between these virtues, you should have enough tactical mitigation and your alongside your gear, and you're still getting the most amount of morale. A lot of people like to recommend your main stat as a virtue. So medium armor's agility, so determination. Light armor is wisdom, so will, and might, or heavy armor uses might or zeal. These are good for leveling, but the problem is that as you acquire gear from crafting, from dungeons, and from raid, you start to reach the mastery cap really easy. So right now on the legendary servers, this is going to change in a week, but right now at 65, the stat cap for virtues, or for mastery, sorry, is 3,000. 3,000 rating. That is quite easy to hit. And then for level 150, the cap rating is 2,000 or 225,000. No matter the level cap, it is always 200%. So the rating will of course be different, but the actual percent itself is 200%. So at 200%, your mastery caps. At max level, your main stat virtue, so I say max level, I mean 150. At 150, these virtues give you about 11,000 rating, or roughly 10% mastery. So that's quite a lot. So obviously while leveling, that's useful, but when you get all of your gear and your essence slots or your crafted gear, all of a sudden you're actually hitting that mastery cap without these virtues. So now these virtues become less useful. So now you remove this virtue, but you only spent time investing into this virtue, and then the 3 or 4 defensive virtues, the morale ones, and now you're kind of left with some empty slots. So now you got to go back and level up some stuff so that you're not sitting with empty slots now. So that is why I recommend just at the start going for these 5 morale virtues so that you're not left with empty slots later. Go for these 5 first, then after you acquire your gear, then decide what you want to do. You've acquired some gear and you've learned, okay, maybe I'm not quite at the mastery cap. Then maybe I should go for some main stat. Maybe I need the zeal or the wisdom or the determination. Or something else I would suggest is then at that point going for confidence. The only ones that don't really need confidence are mostly tanks and some support roles, but we'll talk about them next. But as a DPS, you've got your 5 morale virtues. You've acquired some essence gear, or your crafted gear, and you're looking at your stats. You've got your master cap, but maybe you need more crit. So then this is where you can make the decision of removing justice or loyalty and putting in confidence. And now you have more crit. If you're a tank or you're a support role, so yellow LM, yellow Berg, yellow Hunters now, wit can be that 5th slot. So you remove justice or loyalty and put in wit so that you have that finesse. Finesse is really good because as a tank, if you can't land your taunts because they're being resisted, you can't really tank. As a support, if you can't really land your debuffs, then your role is kind of useless, right? You're not doing what your role is designed for because your debuffs are just being resisted. So that is what wit is for. Earlier on, especially on like the legendary servers, finesse is much easier to acquire from gear. Later on, and especially at like the 150 level cap, finesse has a little bit more value because it's harder to get it, and you're not really going to put on like a finesse essence necessarily. So that's why you'll want. There might be a couple of scenarios where you need that, but generally speaking, you're going to want it from wit. So DPS, remove justice or loyalty. For confidence, for tank, remove, I would say, justice and put in wit. And then for support role, remove justice or loyalty and put in wit as well. As a healer, there is some recommendation for idealism because it's going to give you power. However, I have the stance of if you're dying, it doesn't matter how much power you have. Yes, idealism is still giving you morale and it's giving you incoming healing rating, which is really good. But if you're dying because your morale pool is low or your mitigations are low, it doesn't matter how much your power is. So that's why even as a healer, I still recommend these 5 and not really messing around with it too much early. Wait until you get your gear and then make the adjustments necessary. But for their first 5, just go for these. For your first 5 goes for these virtues. Again, it gets tricky when you're a bear because you darn bears love your fate. I wish all the classes could use fate, but it's really just the bears. So for a bear, fidelity, fortitude, honor, and then I would do idealism. And then if you're tanking, I would do loyalty. If you're healing, I would do loyalty. If you're DPS, I would consider justice. If you need the tactical mitigation as a tank, then drop loyalty for justice. But loyalty is just giving you more morale, and as a bear, we're just getting that massive morale pool. So that's why I think you just drop Justice and put in Idealism in that scenario. And now you're probably also wondering, why is it always Loyalty and Justice that we're dropping, no matter the class? And that's mostly just because of how the other 3 virtues work. So Honor and Fidelity are giving you tactical mitigation, and we want to maintain that tactical mitigation because that's always useful no matter the class or role, because it's the harder mitigation to cap. And especially if you're light armors, it's really easy to hit your tactical mitigation cap with just your gear and then Honor and Fidelity. Fortitude is really good because it just gives you more morale than Justice and... well, it gives you more morale than Justice for sure. It's not technically more... I don't think it's more morale than Loyalty. We'll do some quick math, and I'll put some links in the description so you can see how it's all being calculated. But Fidelity or Vitality gives you 4.5 morale per 1 point of Vitality. So if Loyalty is giving you 2109 Vitality at 150, so 2109 times 4.5, that is giving us 9,491, because I think it rounds up, morale. So it's technically giving you 400 more morale than Fortitude. However, the crit defense and resist rating is just nice to have no matter your role in any scenario, because you got to stack up for AoEs. Maybe the boss targets you with a mechanic, and the crit defense and resist rating can just help you survive in those off scenarios. Maybe you resist the mechanic because you had Fortitude on, right? The incoming healing and armor value is just more useful on the tanks than it is the other classes. So that's why as DPS, I'm always saying remove Loyalty or Justice for something else, because Honor, Fortitude, and Fidelity just have more benefit than these other two virtues. And I think that kind of concludes the video. I guess to quickly talk about PvP, if that's something you're interested in, these 5 still have value. Wit is really good, and Confidence is really good in PvP, so that's something to consider if you're willing to sacrifice a bit of your morale pool for landing your abilities more, and getting those crits. But PvP is definitely like a long-term commitment, and it's not something that is easy to gear around, because it depends on so many different scenarios. So to start, I still recommend these 5, and then after you've acquired some renown, have acquired the base gear, and you kind of know what your stats look like, then you can start making some decisions of, do I give up Justice for Wit? Do I want to keep the tactical mitigation and drop Loyalty and get some Wit or Confidence? It'll depend on the scenario a lot more in PvP. But yeah, hopefully you found this helpful. If you did, leave a like, leave a comment. Tell me about your virtue setup and what you like doing. Obviously, the system is designed where they want you to kind of max out everything, especially because of the passive morale and the passive mastery on everything, and just giving you all those different options. But these 5 are just the easy path, long-term goal that will always benefit you. You'll never have to worry about too much morale. You'll never have to worry about too much tactical mitigation. So that's why I recommend these 5. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.